Will Tesla eventually come around on advertising? I think this is an interesting question that I tweeted out recently and got a lot of interesting mixed response. People have different feelings about it, and I think it's an interesting topic to go into. So let me get some things out from the front of the gate. I get why Tesla doesn't advertise, and I don't think Tesla needs to advertise anytime soon. I'm talking about the deep, deep future. We're talking decades from now. Will they eventually actually start spending money on either advertisements on YouTube, or if TV is still a thing, on TV by then, or web ads and that kind of thing? But let me also be clear, Tesla does have a marketing budget. You know, all of the B-roll we see Tesla showcase on Investor Day, their YouTube channel where they make little commercials and little skits. While Tesla doesn't spend any money to promote those videos on other platforms, like pay for them to show up before YouTube videos begin, they do technically spend money on showcasing their product. You know, having that whole giant Cybertruck event, that's not free. So there is a marketing budget, but advertising, as we're talking about specifically, means that they're paying to promote videos or pictures of their vehicle to bring people to the website and hopefully start ordering one. In its current state, again, I completely understand why Tesla doesn't advertise, because they're counting on the product being better. They don't want to waste any money on advertising if they can funnel that money into battery investments and powertrain investments, production, more gigafactories, and basically making the car better for everyone. I'm okay with that. That's a great move, and I think it's a noble cause, but as a brand becomes more and more mainstream, it starts to require the eyes of the more everyday viewer. And I think that's kind of the problem Tesla may run into in the long haul, because I've talked about it on this channel in the past, but I don't think Tesla's greatest threat is Rivian or Amazon or Ford or even GM. I don't think it's another car company. I don't think it's another tech company that Tesla is going to struggle with over the grand scheme of the rest of the century. Their biggest threat is going to be tradition. People not wanting to change the way they do things. People that are uncomfortable with the idea of getting a car that doesn't take gasoline just because they grew up with gas. They know how it works, they're comfortable with it, they understand the premise, and EVs require a little bit of rethinking. They have to think about charging at night, they have to think about not putting the battery to 100%, and they have to think about road trips and how they're going to be stopping for longer compared to how often they stopped for gas on a typical road trip before. Tradition is going to be the biggest holdback for them, and the truth about advertising, as annoying as it is, I'm a guy who hates cable TV. I never had it growing up, so whenever I was at my grandparents' or a friend's house that had cable TV, I was confused. I was like, why are there so many ads? This isn't what I asked for. As soon as YouTube had YouTube Red, now called YouTube Premium, I immediately subscribed to it because I hate commercials. I will not listen to internet radio if there's commercials. That's why I exclusively use Apple Music. I hate ads, okay? I don't like commercials in any way, but I have to acknowledge the fact that they work. There's a reason it's a billion-dollar industry that so many major companies spend money on, because it does actually have an impact, whether it's brand awareness or letting consumers know that a new product has launched. Eventually, Tesla is going to outgrow the social media advertising that we are all providing for them. You know, I get why Tesla doesn't want to do it right now, because there's so many people like me and hundreds of other Tesla channels, probably thousands of other Tesla channels, that are going to talk about news and updates for free, and Tesla doesn't have to pay us, and we can provide that hype. But at the end of the day, it comes down to YouTube and people on the site looking up those things and getting recommended these videos. That means Tesla kind of has a limited way of growing. Essentially, people that seek out the brand and people that are interested in these types of videos or in these types of products, they will find them and they will get excited. And yes, word of mouth is very powerful, and products and brand awareness will spread in that way. But eventually, you got to start convincing people that don't know anything about Tesla, and the bigger problem, don't care about Tesla or don't care about electric vehicles, to start buying those or to start getting on board with those. I know some of you are very hopeful for humanity that, well, everyone will just know eventually that it's good for them and they'll start buying them. Some people aren't that smart, okay? Some people need to be persuaded and they need to be pushed, and advertising can help with that. I don't think it's very helpful for people who are well-versed and well aware of the EV community. You know, Tesla doing advertising or not, it's not going to change my opinion of them, but there's millions of people out there that do not give a crap, and they will always have a negative stigma when it comes to electric vehicles, because they think, oh, they're slow and there's bad range and it's going to drive up my electricity bill, so no, I'm not buying an electric car. So because there's those casuals out there, and there are a lot of them, advertising is the way you combat that, because you kind of start bringing up the biggest benefits of Teslas or electric vehicles to the mainstream, to the people who don't pursue them, to the people who don't look up YouTube videos about them or read news about them, because they could see negative news about them in the press. Oh, Teslas catch on fire, and then they will permanently permanently never buy an electric vehicle because they saw that one headline. Doesn't matter if they're right or not. Doesn't even matter if they seek out the truth or not. Point is, they're not going to buy one because their mind has closed it off, either to the media being negative or no one approaching them and convincing them otherwise. So advertising kind of has to target people that don't seek out Tesla as a whole. And as Tesla is growing right now, and they're, hoping to produce 500,000 vehicles in 2020, which is really ambitious and it's great growth, they don't have a demand problem at this point. But I think 10 years from now, 20 years from now, where we may reach a point that Tesla has more supply than demand. It's very easy for us to get caught up in our little bubble on the internet where we think Tesla's going crazy, they're putting up gigafactories, sales are increasing, this is the next big thing. But when you look at how many vehicles are still sold today, electric vehicles, they're less than 10% of new cars sold. So to EV enthusiasts, a lot of us may think, well, if you're looking for a basic sedan that doesn't need, a ton of cargo space, and you're not really looking to buy a vehicle that goes on road trips and your budget is like $50,000, we would all pretty much recommend Teslas, right? Because we like them and we think they're cool, we like the tech, we like the cost savings in there. So we would basically say, if you're spending that much money on a new car, go with an EV, go with something that's capable of driving itself in the future. But there are still tons of regular gas cars that outsell Tesla vehicles, and they don't have the cost savings, they don't have the tech, they don't have the full self-driving capability that we care so much about. That's because there's a lot of people in the car market that still will swear off EVs because they're different, or they don't want to relearn how to drive or refuel the car. That's still happening right now, okay? So even if we get to a point in the future where electric vehicles get cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, and I'm sure they will, as Tesla is working on their new battery chemistry and they're able to manufacture them for lower costs, $25,000 Model 3, or a subcompact Tesla that's $20,000. Even then, there will still be people buying gas cars in the internal combustion engine that's more expensive, has worse technology, probably even doesn't have that great a range, just because people are weird, okay? We don't like change, and a lot of the time, even if the numbers make sense on paper that, hey, this electric car is cheaper, goes further, it's safer, you have all these benefits, there will still be people that say, yeah, but I like the way this one looks, and I'm fine with gas because I'm comfortable with that. I know how it works. This is the inflection point I could see Tesla hitting in the future, where advertising might become necessary for brand awareness and to let people know, hey, this is how much money you're spending on a gas car. I think you need to start considering something that goes electric and that could potentially drive itself. There's also some really big optimists out there that are assuming 10 to 20 years from now, no one will be buying cars because autonomous driving will be perfected everywhere. Car ownership won't be necessary, so no cars will be made, and everyone will just be robo-taxiing and Ubering everywhere they go thanks to autonomous driving. So, I mean, I won't say it's impossible, but I will say I don't think that's likely. Full self-driving will get better with time, but I don't know if I believe that car ownership will die that quickly. I think it's a little bit further away than that, but advertising, absolutely. Right now, doesn't make sense. Tesla has more demand than they have supply. They're trying to make as many cars as they can, but I think in 10 to 20 years, we could reach a point where Tesla is able to produce vehicles at an insanely high rate of production. The cost factor is there. It makes sense to buy an EV, but still so many people are worried about them, don't understand them, and because of that will not make the switch over, in which advertising will be the necessary push to get a bit more brand awareness out there, to get people comfortable with the idea that, hey, these are safer, these are cheaper, these are better. And I'm very curious to see how Tesla will handle advertising in the future, especially if they're rumored to be $1 trillion company 10 years from now. I mean, can you think of any of the top 10 companies in the world that don't do any advertising whatsoever? Walmart, Amazon, Google, Apple, they all do some type of advertising. And when you're young and your company's just getting started and you don't have enough supply to meet demand, sure, it makes sense to just rely on word of mouth and focus on making the product better. But eventually, I think we're going to have to start interacting with some real stubborn people that don't want to switch to EVs, and advertising will really, really help in that regard. But what do you guys think? I could be wrong. Feel free to hit me up over on Twitter, join my Discord, and let me know what you think about Tesla advertising over there. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you have an excellent rest of your day. Take care.